Welcome back to America Decides. Guatemala's Ministry of Foreign Affairs said in a statement that 2 of the workers now presumed dead in the Baltimore Bridge collapse were from their country. Prior to learning of their deaths, CBS News' Ed O'Keefe spoke with the country's president about migration from his country to the United States southern border.
Back in 2021, when she visited Guatemala, the vice president famously said,
"Do not come. Do not come. The United States will continue to enforce our laws and secure our border."
Do you think anyone listened?
Well, I don't know. You do the numbers. But what we are doing is that we're working together because what we agree is that we have to work to allow people what we call the right to stay. People have a right to remain in their places.
You know that most Guatemalans stay put, don't leave, or as you say, have the right to stay. For those that do leave, why do you think they leave Guatemala?
Well, almost 20% of the Guatemalans living today are abroad, and mostly in the United States. And this is a huge amount of our population. The people continue to go out of the country, and they are doing so particularly from those regions where you cannot find work or economic opportunities. We have a population that lives under 60%. 60% of our population lives under the line of poverty. We have 70% of our economically active population in the informal sector, meaning they don't have access to formal services. They do not participate in the economy. They have very limited access to poor quality services in education, in health, and so on.
You said in your meeting with the vice president that you recognize that many of the problems we face are structural and longstanding and cannot be solved in a short period of time.
Exactly.
Nor without support and cooperation from the United States and other key international friends. With respect, why should the United States keep sending money to help Guatemala?
What we are trying to say is fundamentally about cooperation is not sending money. Cooperation can be by creating conditions in which we can invite you to invest in Guatemala and establish factories, works that can begin to produce and create jobs. That's fundamentally what we are most interested in. And we believe our country presents huge opportunities for investment and the development of factories that can then bring products back into the United States or export to other places over the world. So international cooperation is a fundamental principle which is good for everybody.
And to those that might think, you know, the United States has been trying to help this region for so long and it doesn't seem to stop the flow of migrants, what would you say?
Well, because there has been scant attention to the critical issues of focusing on good governance. When you have governments that concentrate on, that stop corruption and graft, that fight corruption, and that begin to invest into development, then you're going to have the results that you need. And the countries in Latin America, in which you have this type of governments and regimes which are working, are governments in which people are voting to stay in, want to stay in. People do not migrate by choice. They migrate because the conditions force them to do it.
You know that there's a chance later this year Donald Trump may win the White House again in this country. He's somebody who has a far different view of how immigration should be handled, and has said things like migrants are not people. He's called them animals, and says they speak languages that Americans don't know. When you hear someone say that about people who are trying to get into this country, what do you think?
Well, I think that in general it is a huge mistake to dehumanize and criminalize people that are just exercising, which is a fundamental right, the right to move. Migration has been with the human civilization since the day Lucy walked out of the Rift Valley in Kenya, and they continue working. walking in search of different places. And we have to understand the problem and to begin to understand exactly what are all the conditions that happen around this problem in order to be able to solve it. Otherwise, the problem is not going to be solved, whatever we consider about or qualify what is happening.
Do you think migrants will be safe in the United States if Donald Trump is elected president again?
Well, we are looking forward to work with whoever wins in the next election to support and work so that our citizens that are residents in the United States enjoy full rights.
Do you think border walls work?
I think that history shows they don't.